Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 9th, 2020 board work session. We're returning to public session and we'll start with board committee reports. Anyone?
None.
None. Okay, great. Superintendents report, Dr. Glass.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This has been quite a busy few days. Over the weekends, from basically the Friday evening period through the Sunday afternoon period, we had three big announcements that came from the governor's office, each one of them having a significant impact upon our district and our families and our communities. The first one that most people are by now aware of is that the vote, which was originally scheduled to be an absentee ballot vote that would end today at 5 o'clock, and we anticipated having ballots essentially counted by now, was extended by executive order for another week. So next Tuesday, the 16th at 5 p.m., ballots will be accepted by mail only through that time. We were directed through the executive order to cease receiving personal ballots through a box at the front of our district office, which had been placed there and used significantly. That had to be removed today after 5 o'clock. So if there are ballots that are still out there for this vote, for the budget vote or the trustee vote, they need to be, those ballots need to be returned no later than 1 week from today on the 16th.
Right, but they had to be postmarked by today, I thought, right? No?
No, we thought that.
Oh, yes, that's what I read.
We received clarification today from our attorneys that stated that they can be postmarked after today.
They can?
Yes, they just can't be hand delivered after today.
I think I just want to take a minute and note that I believe that this extension was due, in fact, because for some districts, it was just impossible to turn this around quickly as this came down upon us to do suddenly a vote. The amount of lead time we had was very short. So I have to commend our district clerk, Jeanette Messina, for the way that she has approached this and was able to get this turned around on time for us. But many districts were not able to do that, or some districts were not able to. And because of that, this extension was granted. So this is where we stand. The other piece of information that we got over the weekend was that summer school for students, special education students who want to attend summer school. We were previously directed to provide that virtually. Now we have been given the opportunity to provide that in person. So again, we are really, I have to commend Dr. Noreen Urso, head of Pupil Personnel Services, and her team for the way that they have sprung to action and sought to bring this about so that we can have our students hopefully be able to attend our students with special needs attend some summer school programming this summer. So we're working hard on that. We also had a third piece of information that I don't believe it's actually been codified in writing, but the governor was very clear on Sunday that on or after June 26th, that districts could hold graduation ceremonies with up to 150 people in attendance following social distancing guidelines, which forced Principal Capuano and his team and myself here in the district administration to work together to try to figure out if we could make some modifications for our seniors, for their benefit, to try to do something for them to hold more of an in-person live ceremony within those guidelines. The decision was made and parents were notified last night that we will maintain the car ceremony that we have for them, the drive-through ceremony that we were going to give their diplomas out on Saturday. And we're also then going to be on the 26th having a live graduation ceremony with a tent on the field in a more traditional sense, with half of the students in one shift and half in the other shift. and that we will stream that to families and parents and the community so that they can attend that way. I know it isn't ideal, but it's the most that we felt we could do in consultation with our families and our students, given the guidelines that were given to us, and we got to work right on that right away. I want to thank all of our seniors. We know this has been an extremely difficult season, and I want to thank all of our seniors and all those who are supporting our seniors with us to provide the very best, most joyful experience we can possibly provide for everyone to celebrate your great 13 years of success with us here in Eastchester schools. We continue planning for the fall. We're excited to do that. It's quite a challenge. We will continue to let families know as we plan for the various scenarios of possible reopening in the fall. I'm glad to see that we're getting some real movement and we're having some success with COVID-19 numbers dropping to the point where we're seeing a significant lifting of restrictions, and that hopefully will bode well so that we will be able to have a more normal experience in the fall. We'll have to see. If we can reach phase 4 by then, that would be wonderful. All of you, thank you families and staff who participated in our thought exchange survey. That closed last night at midnight. We had over 1,000 people respond to that survey, providing over about 1,000 ideas and rating about 36,000 ratings of different ideas. And I plan to share the results of that within the next few days and make that available to you. I just got those late this afternoon. And lastly, I'll mention that we have a technology report that report of a study that the district commissioned since January, February, and it has been worked on by Sun Associates. Scott Wynn worked with Jeff Sun of Sun Associates very closely in designing and helping implement and make sure that this study was thorough and was constructed in a way to give us an accurate picture of all of our technology operations throughout the district, from the hardware and software right through to the instructional components. And we're excited to share at a high level those results with the community tomorrow at a live Zoom meeting for anyone who wants to tune in at 7 p.m. That link is available on our website and is also being pushed out via email reminders to our families today and tomorrow. We're pretty excited. There's a lot going on. It's a busy time of year. So thank you for your patience with this rather lengthy report.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Glass. Judah, would you mind moving 6, 7, and 8?
With pleasure. I move a resolution that the Board of Education hereby approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2020 meeting. And I move a resolution that upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approve the attached personnel agenda. And I move a resolution that the Board of Education hereby approve the placements as recommended by the Committee on Preschool Special Education and the Committee on Special Education.
I will second that.
Thank you, Steve. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Oh,
did you have a
Sally,
question, Sally?
I have a
I'm
question.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Mute.
Go ahead,
There's a
Sally.
lot of mute. I have a lot of mute. So I have a question. It's on the personnel. So stop me talking if I ask something that I can't. But there is a retirement of a nurse at ICS. We provide nurses there. Maybe I just wasn't aware of this. And if that's the case, what other private schools in the area do we provide services to?
Only ICS. We don't provide nurses to any other parochial private schools.
By
Can I
law,
ask why?
by law, the public school needs to provide health services to any private or parochial schools within their district boundaries. ICS is the only one, so we do provide a full-time nurse to ICS. And
Oh, because IHM is technically Scarsdale.
Scarsdale School District, right.
Okay.
So we
That's why I
provide
think I was
nurse
a little confused.
equipment.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
But we, just so
Okay.
we do then bill back the home districts of the students who attend ICS for the cost of the nurse, the
Okay.
supplies and all of that. So we're in theory made whole by the other school districts who send their, or whose children attend ICS.
Yeah,
Okay,
but not for
cool.
the
Thank you.
kids who live in Eastchester.
Right.
No, but we would be,
So we're not whole.
well, we're responsible for them anyway. They're our students. Right.
Well, no, because they would be in our school and they'd be provided service by our nurse. So we're not really whole.
If you want to look at it that way, yes.
I'm a macroeconomist. That's the way you got to look at things like that.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks, Sally. That's a good question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, they pass unanimously. Rob? Would you move 9 and 10? Oh, you're on mute, Rob.
I
I
thought
think-
No,
Sally
I'm sorry. I
was.
asked Sally. Sally, you
Yes.
moved 9 and 10. I'm sorry.
No worries.
All right. I mean, Rob can if you want.
No, you go,
Rob?
Sally.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby, I'm gonna have to come off this, hereby approves the following donation, $1,000 donation from the Women's Club of Eastchester for future scholarships. Be it resolved the Board of Education accepts the following warrants listed below. Be it resolved the Board of Education approves the student activity reports for Eastchester High School and Eastchester Middle School from January 2020 through March 2020. Be it resolved the Board of Education approves the following tax certiorari settlements for the 2019-2020 year, and be it further resolved the Board of Education approves the payment of corresponding tax certiorari judgments from the reserve for tax certiorari and its funds are available. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the annual risk assessment update and the related corrective action plan submitted by Nabarwaki Smith for the 2019-2020 school year. Be resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the student transportation agreement for Royal Coach Lines Incorporated, and that the Assistant Superintendent Business is authorized to execute the agreement on its behalf. And be resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints the following additional election inspectors for the vote on June 16th, 2020 as follows, and they're listed below. And 10.1, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the following resolution. So, you want me to read the entire thing here?
No.
Okay.
Wait, we're only doing through 9, correct?
I thought we were doing 10.
No, let's do that one separately.
Vito wants to vote on 10 separately.
All right,
No,
so
I
let's
want to
do 9.
vote on some of 9 separately also, but 10 was never
Oh.
discussed. I think we should have a discussion on it before we even vote on it.
Okay, so let's do 9.
Okay.
Rob, can I get a second?
So seconded.
Questions, discussion?
I have a question on the audit reports. Were those performed at a reduced rate because they were unable to come into the district and do any physical work here?
No, that risk assessment was done in person before we closed.
Okay, that answers the question. Thank you. I'd like to vote on transportation agreement second, and to save time later, I'm going to vote against it because I still believe that that is a gift of public funds, and I think someday that all districts that do this are going to get smacked by the state controller. So I'm not for it. I'm against that one. Everything else we could vote on.
I would like to make a comment about the audit reports. I'm
Dave, you're
sure,
breaking up.
besides Vito, all the rest of you, that was the first thing you read. I just want to mention about the audit reports. I'm sure you all read them very closely.
Dave,
And there was really no major risks there, and everything they suggested, Lisa addressed. So it's a good thing to know. It's no good, huh?
good. Okay, thank you. You were breaking up a little
Forget
bit,
it.
so if you want to make a comment, you might want to turn off your video. It might get clearer, but thank you, yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so pulling out 9.6, all the rest of number 9.
Aye.
All approved? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. 9.6, the student transportation agreement.
Just one thing, the agreement in the PDF on this one is like there's the last page is corrupt a little bit, or the second to
Okay.
last page didn't
All
skip
right.
properly.
Thank you. All right, 9.6, we're voting on that now. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 8 in favor. Any opposed?
1.
Veto's opposed. Thank you. So can we move to table number 10, the board resolution? And since some comments came in later on that and we want to discuss it, can we move to do that?
Oh, you want to table it?
Do you
Sure.
want to discuss it now? Or is it too challenging because of the audio?
I don't know. I'm a little worried about the transcription. I'm not sure how much discussion it's needed because I wasn't getting a lot of feedback until later. I'm not even sure I've seen all the email feedback. So
That was my concern also, because I know we're transcribing these meetings.
yes.
And this would tend to make for a long discussion. So I suggest we table it. And while we're talking about that, I think we should also consider meeting in person in a combination of a Zoom meeting for people who feel uncomfortable being in person. But I think at this point, we could have a socially distanced meeting, public meeting. So I'm
So
throwing
noted.
that out there for discussion as well.
So noted. Anyone else want to say anything about that?
Well, my guess is as long as we have anyone on Zoom, we're still required to transcribe. So it may not absolve us of transcription, which may make it hard to talk about this anyway.
If the meeting is broadcast, why would you have to transcribe it? If it's a
Same
live
reason we're doing this.
public-
These
yeah,
are
but if it's a
broadcast.
live
These are broadcast
public
also.
meeting, why would you have to transcribe it?
It's a legal requirement. We asked our attorneys.
Even if we go to a live meeting?
Yes. You mean in person?
Yes.
Oh, no, no.
If we had a live meeting in person, but some members were still on Zoom.
Yeah.
So it was a
I'll
com-
Take a video.
find out. I'll call the attorney tomorrow and I will.
Let's find out.
I also don't think when you mean a public meeting, I mean, you know, just because we're in person, I'm not sure that means we're going to invite the public there.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Based on history, how many people show up at our meetings?
but
doesn't matter.
no. It's different than to say that they're not showing up voluntarily. But the fact is, I'm not really comfortable at this point. While I think that there would be a way for us to meet as a group in a place spread apart, like the auditorium, I'm not sure that means that I want the public there.
But
So
wait a-
I think you still might be having to broadcast it, which means you have to transcribe it probably.
But listen to this. What we should find out is, now that we're in phase 2 in Westchester, what is the number of people allowed in a public gathering? And if that number is 25, 30, 50, whatever that number is,
10.
you can, it was
10.
10. It was 10. You're now in phase
No, I
2.
believe it still is. It's 10, Vito. It's
Well,
still
it's
10.
150
in
for
terms
a
of-
graduation.
After June
so-
26th. After June
Right.
26th.
Well-
Which is phase 3.
Let's find that out, and let's find out as soon as it could be more than 10. I'm suggesting we go to a public meeting, and if anyone needs to Zoom in for whatever reason that they have to, that we continue to do that. We'll have a public meeting and a Zoom meeting.
So noted. I think that we can begin now that things are changing and they're changing rapidly. We can definitely begin to look at what are the specific recommendations and requirements for public gatherings, and when can we do it safely and equitably so that everyone has reasonable access, and what do we need to do? So we'll definitely start looking into that. And I think as the offices at the schools are opening later in June, it becomes reasonable that we can begin to meet. But right now, we still might not be quite there, but we'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, future meeting dates. June 23rd and Tuesday, July 14th. And
We have to add the 16th.
We're gonna have to add the 16th.
we're going to have to add next Tuesday, June 16th, when we will meet regarding the election results. Do we have any comments from the board?
June 16th,
Yes, a week from today.
we're going to do that at 8 o'clock, and if it's not ready, we'll suspend it until a later time.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
assuming, yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Yes.
Comments from the
Alright.
board?
So are we going to exec now? Is that what we're doing?
If there are no comments from the board, yes. Steve?
I have no comment. I was
Oh,
just,
no comment. You were going to move.
if there are no comments.
Are we
I
going in a
move-
Zoom?
Yes, we're going to get another link.
Um, You could use the same link that we used previously.
Okay.
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 All right, so I move to
Perfect.
adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Judah. All right. Thank
Bye.
you, everybody. Good night.
Good
Have a
night.
good week. See you next week.
And make sure you
Good
shut
night.
off your Zoom before you open
Thank
your
you.
Google Meet.